All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Absolutely. He's Hassan. I'm Dan, and today's show is brought to you by Into the AM, where you can use code Absolutely to save 10% on your awesome shirts. I am wearing one right now.
Wow.
This is actually one of my favorite shirts because it looks freaking awesome, and it is super soft. Definitely go check it out, guys. All the information will be in the links in the description
I've recently
below.
been with Benny and finally gotten the opportunity to touch an Into the AM shirt. And I get it. It's actually pretty good.
Right? They're like really good quality.
Hate to say it, but it's pretty good.
All right. So today's topic that we are talking about today, James Gunn has announced that he has officially cast Superman and Lois in the upcoming Superman Legacy film. And honestly, I am pretty happy about these announcements.
It's
just
perfect.
based on the look. I don't know either of these people, but I believe it is David Cornsweet as Clark and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. And
Yeah. And they look
they
awesome.
look perfect.
They look
Platt, you put a picture of both of them up on the screen so that everyone can see, because they do look perfect. Like,
yeah.
that was my first reaction when I saw those was, honestly, Lois looks more perfect than Clark. I will say that right there. Like, Rachel looks, I saw her and I was like, is she already dressed as Lois Lane? Like,
I think
in that
she's
picture?
just gorgeous is what you're confused by.
I think
I actually think she's just
that's fair.
well, here's the thing. I've seen a lot of clips since then of David acting in different roles, and he's so Clark Kent, it's ridiculous. He's like,
Is he?
well, like, literally no flack to Henry Cavill, because everybody knows I don't like the Snyderverse, but I like Cavill. I like Cavill a lot as a guy, specifically just as a person.
Yeah.
And as an actor in a lot of other projects, I really liked him. I never liked him for Superman for me because I liked the more hopeful Superman, and he never got the chance to be that. But his most recent appearance of Black Adam, I thought he looked really good. It was 2 seconds, but brighter color. He had the Superman bang, looked awesome. This guy, oh my God, in every scene, if you just look up other shows he's been in, he's just like a little dorky Clark Kent. And he's super handsome, but he managed to play like small, meek, mild-mannered really well. And then because like, can you imagine Henry Cavill just being like, hey guys, I'm Clark Kent. Hi there. It's like, no, he couldn't. He's still like, I'm Henry Cavill. I'm playing Clark Kent today. And he's like still this broad, beautiful, giant man.
Right.
That said, a lot of people complained, which is crazy. This is the craziest thing. Twitter was like, oh my God, they really just cast for we'll talk about the first thing. He cast a Henry Cavill lookalike. Ew. You know who both of them look kind of like?
Clark
Superman.
So, I no kidding. Like, honestly, that is the worst argument ever, that it's a Henry Cavill lookalike. Okay, who does Henry Cavill look like a little bit? Brandon Ralph.
Who's Brandon Ralph look like? Christopher Reeve.
Who's
Christopher Reeve look like? The comic book character Superman, right from the page.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
I think one of the good things I like about this is, one thing I always thought about with Henry Cavill as Superman was he was very imposing, very like, just like you said, he's just very strong looking. I feel like he would be much better as like the Superman that either goes the injustice route or is just a more threatening, imposing, strong Superman.
Let me fan cast him real quick. He'd be a great Batman. Have you seen how chiseled his jaw is?
It's hard to fully see it because I know him as Superman, so it's harder to put him in that role. Yeah. But I mean, I could see it. He definitely does have that build. But the new guy looks like David. Sorry, I'm the new guy. David looks like like you said, he looks like he can look imposing, but also looks like he can hide it.
Yeah,
and
one of the biggest
that's
complaints,
such a huge thing with the Clark Kent versus Superman thing, is the making him look and feel like a different person. It's not just like, a lot of people think, oh, how are people getting them confused? He's just wearing glasses on. Like, it's like,
glasses off. How can you not tell the difference?
Like, his entire demeanor, the way he holds himself, everything,
his physicality,
like that is different.
And if you want to see a really incredible example of it, look no further than the show airing right now that just finished its run. I think one more season left. Superman and Lois. Tyler Hoechlin has given James Gunn the most incredible blueprint. He has been and I don't say this lightly because I'm a big Tom Welling fan, and I love Brandon Routh through and through. I really love Brandon Routh. He's the definitive Superman for me right now.
Yeah.
Tyler Hoechlin, oh my God. And if you, I'm not going to spoil the finale, but if you guys haven't caught up with Superman Lois, I know some people don't like the interpersonal drama of TV shows. It definitely has a lot of that. But oh my God, the fight scenes in this show and the Superman moments and the Clark Kent moments. There's a scene from a recent episode where he is Clark, but somebody held his son at gunpoint and stole his truck, and there's this whole thing. And he threatened Lois. So Clark walks into a diner, strolls in, and he's like, "Hey, is that you?" And he's like, "You'll never touch my son. You never do." And the guy's like, "I'll do whatever I want." He tries to push him, and he just like the guy like flies back because Clark's just standing there, and then he like warns him again, and then he just flips him on the table and holds him, and he just like whisper threatens him. And then once he's done threatening this guy and he runs off, it's like a diner with like Lana Lang and her family, and then she's just like, "Oh, sorry guys, my bad. I'll see you guys later." And then he like walks out. But there's a line that Kyle Cushing in the show doesn't know that he's Superman. He's Lana Lang's ex-husband at the time, and he's like, "Damn, Kent." Whoa, because they don't expect, like, even though he is Tyler Hoechlin, he is 6'2", he is built, he dresses differently. He doesn't look physically imposing. So it's actually really cool that we have a scene of him being physically imposing as Clark, because it's just Superman. It doesn't even feel like him, and that's what we need. A lot of people complain that David isn't jacked enough. Do you guys know what happens when you get put in these multi-million-dollar movies? Do you guys remember what Chris Pratt looked like?
I was gonna say, like Chris Pratt
was a chunky little man, and he looked great. He looked handsome back then, but then he was like jacked, you know? All these people got jacked for their roles. I mean, like Christopher Reeve was skinny before he became Superman.
I mean, who's
Everybody
the
was.
guy on from Eternals?
Oh my God, Kumail Nanjiani.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
Like the thing that people don't fully understand is body type at the end of the day does not matter that much, because personal trainers can be miracle workers sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, they force them to eat. You have to eat in a crazy amount of food and work out 2 to 3 times a day, and realistically, take some anabolic steroids. Like there's no clean way to get to the Marvel physique without, you'd need like 4 to 5 years of training to get to the physique that they get into in 8 months, because it's
to
like,
some extent, because the other thing that they also do, to be fair, is a lot of the time when they need them to look more muscular, they have them exercise beforehand, like pump their muscles so that they do look better than they would
no
in a
doubt, no
natural
doubt. I'm
state.
with you there. I just think that like, and this might have been oversimplification, and I think some people in the comments are like, "Actually, Hudson knows nothing about bodybuilding. I'm in the comment section of an absolutely video, and I know better than you." You probably do. But the type of muscles that they have to build, especially Kumail Nanjiani, right? Because he'll say that he's natty, and I really love him and I respect him a lot, especially as a comic. But to be natty and look the way he did, he would have had to have been working out like baseline at a young age. He did little to no exercise. Like no exercise at all. He had the schlubby boy build, and I respect him for it. And then immediately put on that much muscle. It's not like steroids in the way that we perceive steroids of like, oh, you're gonna be angry, whatever. It's like the most scientific steroid paid for by the biggest studio in the world. So it's just like tiny little micro doses to get you ready between workouts, because steroids increase the rate of healing so you can tear your muscles apart faster to grow them quicker. So like, I have no doubt if they're filming this movie anytime soon, and they are, he's going to be on some anabolic steroids for sure. Like he's going to have a little bit of, just to get a little bit beefier, unless they just decide to keep him lean.
I was gonna say the guy is already pretty muscular.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he's going from the Chris
Kumail.
Pratt to the Star-Lord. Like he looks like he's already been exercising. So for him, it seems more like if he goes into very, very intense exercise plan, very strict, that it shouldn't take too much
have
effort.
to eat like he has to eat a crazy amount of food.
Oh,
that's like the biggest thing. He's got to beef up. If he's got 5 months or 6 months to do it with his current build, he could probably do it. But I imagine just like Chris Hemsworth got into shape for Thor 1 pretty naturally. If you look at Chris Hemsworth and Thor Ragnarok or Thor Love and Thunder,
dude's
That can't be natty.
Yeah.
There's no physical way to make that natural. That's absurd. Um, Same thing for The Rock. He'll deny it. He'll be like, "I'm just Samoan," but that's not the case. Uh, but God dang, this David guy looks great as Superman. I have no complaints. And
Mhm.
Rachel Brosnan, wow,
Yeah,
you are a pretty lady.
she's definitely got the perfect, like, they look so perfect, and the image they grabbed for her, in the James Gunn tweet when he did officially announce it, it legitimately looks like if Lois Lane was, like, at a press conference and was asking questions and stuff.
Is
Like,
she Miss Maisel?
yes.
Oh my God.
I looked up,
Literally, she's Miss Maisel from the Marvelous Miss Maisels. That's incredible.
yep, I looked them both up on IMDb actually just to see if I knew them from anything.
Yeah.
I don't, but it does look like her biggest thing was the Marvelous Miss Maisel as Miss Maisel.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then for
she looks incredible.
David doesn't look like he's been in a ton of stuff. He was in We Own This City, a TV series, Project Payday as a lifeguard, like The Politician, another TV, like a lot of stuff that I've never heard of. He was on a single episode of House of Cards. So
Um,
lesser known actors, which personally I am a big fan of when directors do hire the established but lesser known
yeah.
actors into certain
Because
roles.
I'm tired. I've definitely gotten fatigue of like your nameless brand name actor, big announcement every time they join a role. Like don't get me wrong, I love their chemistry in the later movies, but Zendaya is definitely just like it's stunt casting, right? And then
Mhm.
because of her popularity and her relationship with Tom Holland, they made her Mary Jane. And because that comic book fans missed out on like what may have been a more comic accurate love story dynamic. And even now, we may not get him with Black Cat or him with anybody else because they don't want to remove Zendaya from the franchise, even for a couple movies. So like
Mhm.
definitely tired of that. Because you go back to the Stranger Things era, we hired a bunch of unknown kids, and now these kids are running Hollywood. They
Yeah.
just are. Um, Another cool thing I want to point out is that the creators of Superman, Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, are Jewish, and both these actors are Jewish. And I actually think that they're the first Jewish Superman and Lois. I could be wrong on that. Please don't quote me or crucify me in your comments, but I think so. And regardless if they're the first, still really cool that they get to like have that representation.
Yeah.
Because stuff's important. That's really awesome, and I'm sure Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster would be really happy to see that. Um, Man, Rachel Brosnan looks great.
She does, like,
She's so pretty.
yeah.
Um, I'm I'm just like scrolling through Google Images as I'm talking to you guys. I'm really excited for her as Lois. And we just got a really cool Lois like on Superman and Lois. Like I love I don't know how to pronounce her name, Bitsy Toluk, I believe. She's really talented, and she plays a Lois that rivals Clark in so many ways, as in like one that really stands on equal footing. And I think it'll be a really good time to have a Superman being written, a Superman acting when you have a great example on screen.
Mhm.
Because I think we've really struggled with that. Um, Henry Cavill Superman was not afforded the opportunity to become a very hopeful and genuine Superman interpretation. You can say you like the expectation subversion, and more power to you. Benny actually loves it, but I think before you do injustice, you have to do justice. And you know, Henry Cavill didn't get to do it, but and Brandon Routh got to do it so sparingly in a movie that I think was very poorly received. And then for 3 episodes in Christ on Infinite Earths where he looked incredible, and then Tyler Hoechlin has been able to do it for about 3 seasons now, and wow, he's done a great job. So I have a lot of faith in Gunn to tie this all together now because he's done hopeful, he's done powerful, and like look at his Guardians franchise, right?
Right.
Imagine him bringing a little bit of the Guardians of the Galaxy love over to Superman, and I just think that this could be really badass. And if we can have 15 or so years of continuous movies without any like stupidous studio restructures, we could get a Super Sons You know, we could get the Justice League movie and the Teen Titans movie and the Teen Titans versus Justice League movie. And now that James Gunn is good friends with Kevin Feige, we could get an amalgamation movie or a Marvel versus DC. That I just feel so hopeful once seeing this casting. This just isn't one of those things where we're all like, but here's the thing, even the times where we have been, like remember when Robert Pattinson was cast? Oh my God, why?
And everyone
the
was
Twilight
like,
guy.
yeah.
I just want to say I never thought that because I saw him in a couple of other of his own independent indie things, and I was like, oh, he's perfect.
Right.
People hated Ben Affleck when Ben Affleck was cast. Really? You're going to have the guy from Argo in it? And now he's like one of the definitive Batman. Like his
Which is
Batman,
a shame because of how people treated him and how, like, that was not a good experience for him in any way, which it sucks to hear every time that I saw that, just because he was so good at the role.
Well, and
he just wasn't given the right opportunity to have like an actual Batman film. They were just like, hey, you're fighting Superman.
Hey, you're in the Justice League. Hey, you're doing
exactly.
He deserved it. And his suit is so cool. The cloth suit instead of and I think Robert Pattinson's cool, but like I love Christian Bale. I adore Christian Bale. His Bruce Wayne is so suave and the flow is really cool and like the way he carries himself is really funny. God, did I hate his Batman suit. When I was a kid, I maybe liked it, but I hate that kind of suit. I hate that kind of material. And then Ben Affleck had the coolest cowl, coolest suit, coolest setup, and he didn't get to see a bunch. So we're in a really cool spot now of like we got a casting that everybody appreciated, so we don't have to demoralize the actors before they get to play their roles. Anybody who's complaining about it is a Snyder stan. And do you know what Snyder said about this? He tweeted, "We have our Superman. Hashtag the Snyderverse is over." And he was really excited and happy about it.
I bet he was.
He like really, because I think even he's tired of it. It was probably funny for him for a time.
I think when he got the HBO, like his Justice League, I think for him, he was like, thank you. I got to do what I wanted to do. Now let's just leave this alone. And all the fans were like, no.
Yeah.
I will say though, because you said we have to do a justice before an injustice. I'm gonna say the Zack Snyder Justice League, those casts would be perfect for an Injustice movie. Henry Cavill as an Injustice Superman, Ben Affleck as an Injustice. That like even that version of the Flash with Ezra Miller, that version aside, I think all of that would be perfect for Injustice. Obviously not anytime soon, but who knows? Maybe down the line they'll be like, hey, like everyone says that Snyder was given an Injustice, so now we're actually giving it to him. Snyder Injustice.
I would love to watch that movie. I would love like Zack Snyder legitimately not trying to do the thing he's done where he's like pretending to like write a Justice League, but he's really writing his own thing. He'd be like, hey, here's the reins, man. Make something horrible and graphic. It will bring Henry Cavill back and make him powerful Ultraman, like a monster, you know. Ben Affleck as Owlman, Gal Gadot as Power Woman or whatever she is in that world. Like, that'd be sick. Gizmo as Aquaman, but evil, you know. That'd be so sick. But regardless, I'm very excited, Dan.
I am super excited. I'm excited to see what who they cast as Jimmy Olsen and Lex Luthor. I'm not good at fan casting, so I'm not even going to try. As
Michael
well
Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. Bring him back. I don't think he's going to do it. But.
No, I hope we do not get someone to reprise their role. I think that's a terrible idea because then you bring a direct comparison of the two. Whereas I feel like he's already shown he's going to grab the lesser named people. So hopefully he's going to grab some good people for Jimmy Olsen, Lex Luthor, if he even decides to bring them in this first movie. Because for all we know, he won't. Yeah, and it'll be the next one.
A lot of people are tweeting about like a gender swap Jimmy Olsen. Cool. I don't think that character is like titular or I love
as long as you don't put sexual tension between Clark and a gender swap Jimmy Olsen, it's fine.
And if you do, like, make sure it's a good casting. Yeah.
But I think that's all we really have to say. Was there anything you wanted to end on here?
No, I'm excited. This is really fun for the fandom. I know it's gonna
Mhm.
be a long time. I know we're all ready for like the long winter because of the writer strike and the soon to be actor strike that's kicking off this week.
I did not know that.
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA actors have also band together and agreed to they unanimously voted yes on a strike starting. So we will be in a bit of a media deficit for some time. So bear with us here on the channel while we're doing a bunch of cool nostalgic rewatches and things like that to really fill time and spend time with you guys while we're waiting on the world to kickstart back together. But this is exciting news, and I'm sad we can't live in it more. I want to see this movie tomorrow, but I'm very, very excited that we're getting a handsome, hopeful Superman and a gorgeous, incredibly talented Lois Lane. I've seen her
Mhm.
in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and she steals the screen. She's fantastic. So
Yeah. Plus, it's nice that we finally have our first official James Gunn DC Universe announcement. And it's nice that
absolutely.
we're finally in that. And who knows? We'll see what else he announced from here on out. But thank you guys so much for listening and watching today. He is Hassan. You can check him out at Bad Days Podcasts on YouTube. I am Dan, and this has been Absolutely. Also, be sure to check out Into the AM. Code Absolutely. Save 10%. Awesome shirts. Get this lion one and we can be friends. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.